Hey guys, it's Todd with Project Nine. Welcome to the Do Different podcast. We cover all sorts of stuff and got a fantastic guest, Jon Michaels, and he's got some really cool stuff that he's working on. But where I wanted to start us, John, is just introduce yourself. But you're specifically the thing that I wanted to talk about was you've got the 200 speed, which is like
200 plus racing.
200 plus racing. That's
Yeah.
right. And it's basically like the sims that the F1 guys practice. Like that's where they get a lot of their practice because they don't get a lot of track time because it's expensive. But
Right.
focus a little bit about on what you're doing with the 200 plus racing and kind of how you're correlating that to like a top golf type experience.
Sure. So Jon Michaels, Scottsdale, Arizona. It's great to be here. The business is 200 plus racing, and the vision in a sentence or less is it's like the top golf of Formula One. So my offer to the world, I guess, is I love creating amazing experiences for people. I love cars. I love fine wine. I love food. I love laughing with my friends. I love kind of like big, over the top, rare, luxurious experiences. And I wanted to bring all of that together into a venue where people can come with their friends and just laugh and have a great time and do something that they really can't do anywhere else. And the star of the show, like you said, are these Formula One simulators that are they pull 5Gs on your body if you'll allow it. Obviously, there's settings where you can dial that back. But if you've ever been in any kind of a sim, whether it's a home rig, where you're playing on PlayStation or something fancier, the knock against simulators is you can't feel the G forces on your body. So it doesn't really feel realistic. This simulator is you're sitting in a cockpit and it's got full motion actuators, 7 planes of motion, up, down, side to side, roll, yaw. And it's got a 5 point racing harness that holds you in and basically pulls on you to kind of enact the G forces on your body. So it's just a wild experience and it really makes you feel like you're in a Formula One car.
Yeah, that is, it's like I love Formula One, and those guys got those machines and those sims all set up in their houses and stuff like that, and obviously at the track, and they're practicing constantly. But the fact that you're bringing that to like a top golf experience, and you were talking about the last time we talked about this, just having where you've got a lounge area and you've got really good food, not just bar food, and really creating like you had talked about that kind of upper echelon type of entertainment that isn't widely available, especially to the kind of the depth that you're taking everything. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think almost everyone's been to Top Golf, so you kind of get the gist of it. It's really social. What makes it fun is if you've never picked up a golf club in your life, you can still laugh and have a good time.
Hmm.
That's what this is meant to be. But Top Golf is still, I think, the food's kind of not great. The venue is kind of, middle of the road. I mean, there's nothing special about the venue per se. Um, Formula One is a billionaire type of an experience. It just is. It's
Hmm.
dignitaries, it's politicians, it's celebrities, it's big yachts in off the coast of Monaco. I mean, that's what you think of when you think of Formula One. And I wanted to democratize that and bring that to people so they feel like they're in the Formula One paddock. And frankly, that starts with the food and beverage. It starts with the lounge. It starts with the energy of the place, the vibe of the place. And so that's very much what I'm shooting for is that you feel like you're in the paddock with your special celebrity pass on and you're passing by, famous people and beautiful models and you're just, hanging out, having a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were saying the last time like it took a lot of development, and you worked with one of the name brands in kind of the industry on the design and the implementation to come up with the machine, but also keep it under $1.5 million or whatever some of those things run. So talk a little
Yeah, for
bit
sure.
about that relationship with
Sure. It's kind of funny, I think, because the simulators are manufactured. in Modena, Italy, which, if you know Ferrari, Modena is like where the Ferrari factory is. Famous, famous. They've the museum there, and people do tours. So our factory is literally across the street from the Ferrari factory, and half our employees are old ex, Ferrari employees. So we have this connection to Ferrari, as you would think. And we approached them and said, "Hey, we'd like to make something formal and have like a more strategic relationship with you guys." And Ferrari is just super weird about stuff like that. Like they're just like, no, thank you, hands off. You stole half our employees. We're already pissed at you. So, so unfortunately, Ferrari didn't want to play ball, and we really wanted to have a relationship with the Formula One team to help inform the aesthetics, the look and feel of the simulator, the physics of the simulator, and help us get the hospitality aspect of the experience right. So ultimately, we partnered with McLaren from the UK. And McLaren was like over the moon about it. They're like, yes, absolutely, we'd love to. And the timing was perfect because they just won the Constructors' Championship last year. So
Hmm.
McLaren is like, on the way up, and Ferrari's trying to catch up. So we were like, okay, Ferrari, you don't want to play ball. We'll hook up with McLaren, and McLaren's excited to be on board with us, and obviously we're super excited to be on board with them.
Yeah, when you've got a couple of the younger superstars of that sport, that speaks to a huge generation. I mean, Ferrari's trying to play catch up, and Lewis Hamilton doesn't hurt. But that's super cool that you were able to forge that type of relationship to bring not only the name brand recognition, but some of that technology into play within the machines that you're going to be offering to people as well.
Yeah, and I want to be clear because it's when you get into the sim, it can be intimidating if you feel like you're in for. It would be like if you got into Boeing Flight Simulator. You're staring at like this cockpit with all of these controls, and you're like, "Yo, I'm not a pilot. What am I supposed to do with all this?" When you get into our simulator, the steering wheel has a lot going on, but the experience can be structured, customized to where you don't have to worry about any of the buttons or the switches on the steering wheel. All you need to worry about is steer, gas, and brake. And it'll shift for you automatically. It'll clutch for you automatically. Traction control, stability control, anti-lock brakes. Like we can make it where it's a very approachable beginner level, almost video game like experience. Say almost because there's still going to be some G forces, but almost video game like experience. So if you're a young child or you're just somebody who wants to have a more mild, timid experience, or if you get motion sickness, no worries. This is still a very approachable, middle of the road kind of thing, even though it's $100,000 simulator.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the I was joking about the million and a half, but I those things can get up there. So
They
um,
definitely can.
now I know you're based in Scottsdale, so is that going to be your first kind of club launch? Is somewhere down there?
Yeah, most likely. I've got a few different locations that we're looking at. A standalone location. When I say standalone, like buying a building, building out the building, and operating from within that building, either in Scottsdale or there's another town southeast of Scottsdale called Gilbert with really great demographics. So either one of those two. And I can't really talk a lot about this, but I'm in conversations right now with an investor group to actually build a motorsports theme park, like a Disney style theme park in North Phoenix. 265 contiguous acres of land in North Phoenix that's kind of not being used right now. And we're talking about just doing like a Disney style motorsports theme park, and 200 plus. My deal would be kind of the entertainment epicenter of that theme park. So that's going to take some time to pull together, but it's super exciting. And obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, yeah, and I know this is kind of the initial launch and kind of getting into everything, and certainly like the theme of the show is do different. I mean, this is going to be the first of its kind in the U.S. it's going to be, like with what you're talking about, it's going to be the first of its kind for a lot of this different stuff. Um, but like, without people traveling to Scottsdale, Gilbert, stuff like that, kind of what's the broader scale for expansion of the 200, the 200 plus racing?
Yeah, the intention is to have grow to 25 locations over the next 10 years. I'll start with places like Vegas, Miami, Southern California, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Texas, Denver, Atlanta, right? So, I'm pretty much going to start in the southern part of the country. There's a variety of reasons why, but some of those cities that I mentioned already have Formula One Grand Prix.
Yep.
So Vegas, Miami, Austin. Other cities that I mentioned just have a really established car culture. So people that are like over the moon about cars, over the moon about racing, they love Formula One, they collect cars. That tends to be my target audience at a core because they're going to be into racing. They're going to be into the competition aspect of bringing their friends down and joining leagues and becoming members of the club and wanting to come again and again and again. Over time, though, I think we'll have, hopefully 25 in the next 10 years and coming to a city near you.
Yeah, because it certainly sounds, I mean, we all know, especially when you start talking about that, more upper echelon, more kind of exclusive type of experience, people travel for those. I mean, they'll go to different places to be able to get that experience. So I think you've got it teed up correct, perfectly in terms of, focusing on some of those cities that people are going to go to anyway. People are going to go to Miami, people are going to go to Phoenix and that area. And Austin and kind of how it's exploded over the last 10 to 15 years,
Yeah.
to be able to get that experience, because there's not, you can't have one in every city. Every municipality is not going to have one, but the service level and what you're providing to people is definitely unique and definitely sets it aside from anything else out there.
Yeah. And I think you're right about destination because one of my target attendees or my target guests, I guess, is destination bachelor and bachelorette parties.
Hmm.
So Scottsdale, believe it or not, is ahead of Vegas as a destination bachelorette party city.
Hmm.
People kind of Vegas is Vegas, and I'm not taking anything away from Vegas, but people have kind of burnt out on going to Vegas for bachelorette parties. It's kind of like old hat, and people are looking for kind of new cool places to go with new cool things to do. So I'm looking at cities like that. So again, Scottsdale, Atlanta, Austin, San Diego, Denver, like places where people can go and they're like, oh, I'm gonna, climb a mountain one day, play golf the next day, go to 200 plus racing the next day, swim the next day, go skiing the next day. And there's like certain cities that just have that, all that outdoorsy, indoorsy thing going on, and that's kind of where I want to be.
Yeah, because it certainly sounds like I mean, a very unique not only experience, but I mean that's something that, depending on obviously how you've talked about everything like that. I mean that's a destination that you want to go to and to have that experience. And it's about much more than just the sim. It's like that's almost like that's the focal point, but like you're talking about the dining and the people that are there and stuff like that, it's kind of all in experience.
Yeah, just kind of taking that and running with it a little bit. Done right, I feel like we're going to have, especially on weekends, a mini car show out in the parking lot. Not really formally, just kind of by design. I think done right, people with Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Aston Martins, McLarens, Porsches are going to be coming because they want to show off their cars and they want to be hanging out with people that have those kinds of cars. My place is going to be have gravitas for people like that. So I can imagine a section of the parking lot kind of roped off with a security guard where, if you have a car over $200,000, you get to park in the VIP area, secured with, plenty wide parking spaces and low curbs, so you don't have to worry about scraping your car. What's cool is if you don't drive a car like that, it's eye candy for you, right? I'll call it car porn, right? I mean, let's call it what it
Mhm.
is. So, you come into the parking lot and you haven't even walked in the door yet. And, there's an Aventador SVJ, there's a, Ferrari 12 Cylindri, there's a Porsche, GTS R3 or, GTS. So it's like, uh, I think it's part of the experience, part of the vibe, part of the energy of the place is wow, this is a special place where, car people and people who love cars and people who just want to be around that energy are going to go.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think I mean, I know we've kind of equated it to Top Golf, but you're right. Like people go to Top Golf that aren't golfers, and they just go to hang out and have fun and be social. And I think this takes it kind of that next step up to where it's like, yeah, you might not be a car person, you might not have a care in the world for driving, but it's a chance to see those cars, to be in that environment, to dress up for a night,
Mhm.
and to go and have a good meal and go and watch whoever driving around. And you never know, like you said, with the celebrity and some of that stuff, you never know who you're going to run into. The quarterback for the Broncos, he may have a thing for cars. And, where else is he going to have an opportunity to drive something like that sim than with you guys?
Yeah. And it's funny, I hear from, I'll talk about, two different constituencies. On the one hand, people like pro athletes and car collectors, like they have sim rigs at home, but it's not social because they got one rig with one seat, they got one butt, right? They put the butt in the seat and they race, and maybe they're racing online against people, and like, like online gaming's been around forever and that's a thing, but it's different. The energy is different when you're sitting in your man cave in a sim by yourself versus going to 200 plus racing, with 28 sims or 50 sims on the floor and all of that energy and people cheering and, people drinking and hanging out and eating and having a great time. It's just so much more. It's like the difference between having a golf simulator in your house versus going to Top Golf, right? Just a much more social experience to go to Top Golf. So even for people that are wealthy that have their own simulators at home, I still think 200 plus is going to be a worthy venue for them because of the energy of the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then people that, have never driven before, like you just mentioned, people that go to Top Golf having never picked up a golf club, people that are going to go to 200 plus racing that have never driven before, we're going to give them a great entry level experience for sim racing. We're
Yeah.
going to, dial back the intensity of the motion. We're going to give them all of the, cheat codes to make it kind of easy and fun. And you never know. You might come away and think, wow, that was a blast. I just laughed my butt off, for 15 straight minutes. I want to try that again and see if I can beat my time. And the next thing you know, you've got an affinity for an activity that you never tried before.
Yeah. Well, and I can see the social aspect, and like you were talking about, like people walking around and having fun, and it's like people start racing each other. I mean, humans get competitive a little bit, and all of a sudden it's like you get some people going at it, and a little crowd kind of gathers as two people or three people or whatever are sitting there just holding on for dear. They feel like they're holding on for dear life, but they're sitting in a sim. But that environment of people cheering and people having fun and laughing and stuff like that, it's just to me it sounds like a super cool environment to you know get people back socializing with people, and
Yeah.
getting just getting out to where you can go and have fun and experience some of those things.
It's a good point, and it brings me to kind of another constituency, which is corporate events.
Hmm.
So, COVID. If I hear that word one more time, I might barf. But it changed the dynamic for office work, right? Like everybody started working from home, and now there's some companies that have said we want you back at the office, but there's still such a large percentage of the population that has gotten used to working from home. And what it's done is it's severed the social ties, the bond building ties of your coworkers. And so organizations have tried to replace office work with experiences. Like, how can we get everybody from the office, everybody from a given city to a location to have an experience to bond with each other and laugh together and build friendships with each other because that's good for morale,
Hmm.
right? It's good for trust building. And I just think 200 plus is going to be such a perfect environment for that because you get in the car, everyone else is in the car, you put on a headset, you can talk to each other, you can talk smack while you're driving the car. You know, if you pass somebody, you can kind of like verbally give them the finger as you drive by, right? And be like, hey, I
Yeah,
just passed you.
yeah.
And then
Get your foot off the brake.
yeah, exactly. All the smack talk you can imagine. And then you get out of the car, you pick up a beer, you pick up a glass of wine, you put your arm around that same person and you laugh about it, you talk a little bit more smack, and then you kind of prep for that next race. You're like, "Oh, I know I'm going to get back in the car in another 30 minutes. You better bring your A game this time because I passed you last time." And I just think it's perfect for corporate events and events where people want to build bonds, strong bonds together through laughter and friendship and competition.
Yeah, and I think that was a huge aspect of just human existence that during that time frame that people lost is like there's a huge benefit to being in an office, and it's the social aspect of the interaction. Yeah, you can sit at home and get your work done and whatever, but it's like you still have to go out and to hang out with people, and you still have to go out to socialize and to interact and stuff like that. And I think as companies are bringing more and more people back in, they are looking for stuff like this that allows them to be like, look, we understand that you're back in the office and you're working all day. We're going to offer you the opportunity to go somewhere, dress up a little bit, let your hair down, and let's go have fun and drive some super cool cars.
Yeah, for sure. That's the intent. And again, there's going to be, I remember I used to work, I was head of a software company and we went to a indoor electric kart track, right? So like go-karts
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, some percentage of the people that went were like super competitive and they started like forming off into a little clique and there was like 12 guys and they were like just banging their heads against each other like I gotta have the fast time, I gotta have the fast time, and they just went again and again and again. And then there was like kind of everybody else who maybe went once or twice and had a great time and started watching the 12. And it was like, people were placing little wagers on it, and people were like, "Oh, I've got Randy. Oh, I've got Bill. I've got Don. Who do you have in the race?" And then there's a podium with trophies, and so that happened very organically at that particular event. And I think that's going to happen at 200 plus racing too. I think some people are just going to be over the moon about the competition and they're going to want to go again and again and again. And there's going to be some people that are just like, hey, I'm good. I went twice. I get it. But I want to hang out and I want to watch these guys race because wow, they're really good. And I think that we're going to provide an environment that's comfortable and fun and conducive to both of those types of people that just want to hang out and laugh and watch, and people that want to, participate and compete and get after it.
Yeah, and an environment like what you're talking about, it provides for all aspects of it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, there's no segregation. It's a gathering place where it doesn't matter if you're one of the ultra competitive people that's there to drive, or if you're just there to hang out and meet friends and, go have a fun time, a unique time, and something that's different than anything else you've ever done in an environment where you're surrounded with that energy, you're going to have just as much fun, if not more fun, than the people that are in competition. Because you and I both know if you're there for the competition and you just took third for the third time that night, you might be leaving with your head between your legs a little bit. But the people that were there just watching, they had a blast, and
Right.
they had so much fun just being there and feeling that energy and being able to interact and socialize.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I'm aiming for. And as far as the way that we're pricing the experience, I think it's going to be pretty conducive. So, I mentioned billionaires and dignitaries and celebrities. And look, this isn't going to, I'm going to be on, this isn't going to be an inexpensive night out by any means, because the
Mhm.
Sims are expensive. The lounge build out is going to be expensive, but it's also not going to be like a bank breaker either. So just to give you an idea and the audience, your audience, an idea, um, you can buy time in an 8 minute race, 15-minute race, 30-minute race. If you're brand new and you just want to get in the sim for 8 minutes, a full 8 minute, it's like a 5 or 6 lap experience is going to be $30. So if you do it by the hour, it sounds expensive, but believe me, those 8 minutes are exhilarating. And then what it leads to is you think, well, 8 minutes wasn't enough, so now I want to do 15. So instead of doubling that to, $60, we'll give you a little bit of a discount. We'll make it 50 or 55 for 15 minutes. Now you can get in, 10, 12 laps, which feels a little bit more like a proper race. You have an opportunity to, do some overtaking. And for people that really want to get after it, they can do a 30-minute race, and that'll be, kind of in the neighborhood of 80, $85 for a 30-minute race. Or you can buy blocks of races. So you can say, I want to buy a block of 30 minutes, a block of 10 30-minute races. You get discounts on that. Or you can actually buy a membership. And a
Mhm.
membership is going to give you, unlimited sim time. You can book your sims in advance. You don't have to just walk in and wait. So you can reserve it like you would reserve a restaurant table. You'll get discounts on food and beverage. You get discounts on merchandise. You'll be able to get discounts on leagues. All sorts of different perks, will come your way when you decide to be a member. And I think the membership experience is going to really speak to the hardcore people, right? The people that are like, I want to get good at this. I would love to parlay this into like a race contract, or I just want to, I'm not going to do bowling league this year. I'm going to do a racing league instead because it's different and fun. And so I think that those are going to be those people.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're catering to both sides of that as well. The family who's like, let's just go do something different. And you got two kids and they're 17, 19, something like that. And it's like, look, I just want you to go do this once and then we'll have a nice dinner.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more for that, but you're going to spend more anyways doing whatever for a family that you would. Um, and it provides also for those larger groups, like, there's going to be plenty of people there that they might not even get in the car. They're just there to hang out and have the food and hang out and socialize. But there's going to be the people that'll buy, either the 8 minute or the 15-minute races that you never know. They might get into it, and all of a sudden it's like that's their thing now. Like you said, they're like, forget bowling. I'm gonna go sim race.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. And I think, we're going to make the place really comfortable. We're going to make the place everything you touch, everything you smell, everything you taste, everything you hear is going to be high quality. We'll have Formula One viewing, like Grand Prix viewing parties. So, for special races like Monaco and Silverstone, and obviously the American Grand Prix, we'll have a DJ and we'll have, special food and, special themed drinks and, prizes and competitions and stuff. So, we're definitely going to ride the growth that Formula One is experiencing here in the U.S., which has been meteoric ever since the Netflix series Drive to Survive came out a few years ago.
Yeah. And last question with just regard to the Sims, like the courses that people are going to be driving, is it all going to be like F1 courses or is it going to echo like, yeah, I can drive Monaco, I can go drive Dubai, I can.
Right. Yeah, we'll have all of the Formula One tracks available. And we'll have that and more. So, like for example, the Nordschleife, right at Nürburgring, which is like the most famous, crazy, deathly racetrack in the world, where you can literally drive up in a Volkswagen or drive up in a Lamborghini and rent time at the Nordschleife. So that's in there. There's a track called Isle of Man, which, if you're familiar with the Isle of Man rally every year, it's this motorcycle race that circumnavigates the Isle of Man, and like people like fall off the island and like plummet to their death in on the beach below. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like it's this crazy race, this rally. You can race any number of different cars on Isle of Man, so you get the idea. But yeah, the idea is that you can use an app on your phone, or you can go to the 200 Plus Racing website and book your experience in advance. So you can say, "Hey, I'm coming down with 4 people. We want to race Monaco. We want to race for half an hour, and Jim and Bob are going to be beginners, and myself and Todd are going to be intermediates." And so then it shows you what that means. Beginner has, all of these setups that make it a little easier for you and less motion and a little bit more video gamey. Intermediate, you shift for yourself, and it takes some of the traction control and anti-lock brakes capability away to give you a little bit more of an authentic experience with more motion. So you set all that up ahead of time. When you walk into the establishment after you've enjoyed yourself out in the parking lot, a concierge will meet you and say, "Oh, Todd, John, you're in Sims 1 and 2. Bob and Jim, you're in Sims 3 and 4. It's lit up, so you know where to go." Then there's a tech who basically helps you comfortably get in the sim, get strapped in, shows you how to work everything, and your experience is pushed to the sim. So when you get in, there's nothing that you need to do. You just need to race.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I mean, and to hear that you can have all those different things, like you said, like Nürburgring or Monaco or the Red Bull Ring or whatever,
Yeah.
all those different places. And because, I think it's one of those things to where it gives people exposure to either be it a sport or a place in the world that they might not ever actually get to go. And they maybe only see on TV, but seeing it like from ground level moving that kind of speed, it'll be a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. And we're looking forward to giving people that experience because, I mentioned the electric cart experience that I had myself years ago, and I've been to, K1 is a place, K1 Speed is a place that has tracks all around the country, if you're familiar with K1.
Mhm.
The problem with that, and it's fun, but the problem with that is it's the same track every time after time after time after time. So the good news is you learn the track. The bad news is it kind of gets boring after a while because you're just like, how much better can you improve your lap time? You've done 100 laps around the same track. You know exactly where to hit every apex. You know exactly where to hit every breaking point. Maybe you shave 100th off your time, and you're like, yay. I would much rather, have every single F1 track and then some at my disposal. And yeah, maybe I'll race, the Red Bull Ring 8 times in a row to see how much I can improve my time. But then I'm going to get bored and move on and want to do something else. And this gives you the opportunity to do that. It's just really endless in terms of, the experiences you can have.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, last kind of question for me on this point is like, when are you targeting for, like, obviously not the Disney World thing, but like the first 200 plus to open?
Yeah, I'm targeting 2026. So it's going to take, probably another 12 to 18 months to kind of get things in place. I'm still raising capital. So I have a number of bigger investors that are looking to dump in potentially a lot of money, but it just takes longer. So in parallel with that, I'm talking to smaller investors, raising smaller amounts of money to see if I can get a Scottsdale or a Gilbert location kind of up and going, independent of the Disney World theme park thing. So point is, I'm in capital raising mode. That takes time. The goal is to get something up and going by next year.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
McLaren's been working diligently on the sims and getting those all designed correctly and everything for you.
For sure. Yeah, they're the next version. So I have a simulator right now at Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall for people who know the area and know where that is. I've got a private suite with the bar and a sofa. It kind of feels like a man cave a little bit. And that's where I take investors and influencers and people that are interested that want to try the simulator. That version of the simulator is not informed by McLaren. The next version of the simulator that comes out will be. So we're working with McLaren right now to basically create the next version of our simulator that is, wave the magic wand by McLaren, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hey, it's you could have picked any brand out there, but that's a good one to have in your corner for sure.
For sure. We're happy about it.
Well, cool. Well, um, John, man, it's been a fantastic discussion. I appreciate your time. If you guys like this episode or any of the, you don't want to miss any of them, just like and subscribe below. But John, I'll give you the last couple minutes to kind of wrap up and kick us on out of here. So,
Awesome. Todd, I love doing stuff like this. I'm so passionate about 200 plus racing and what we're doing. I would just say check us out on the internet. We have 200 plus spelled out, PLUS racing.com. You can also email me at Jon at 200plusracing.com if you're interested as an investor or if you're in the Scottsdale area and you want to book some time in the sim, email me. We'll set something up. I'm happy to show off the sim. I'm very proud of it. And if you're not necessarily an investor, but you know somebody who might be, you're thinking, oh, my friend Cliff he's got 3 Ferraris in his garage. He would love something like this. Send him this podcast. Send him to 200plusracing.com. Have him reach out to me, and I'd be happy to show him the sim and see what we can put together.
yeah, that's awesome. So, like we talk about on the show all the time, man, you're approaching things and doing them a little different, which we love to hear. So, for the audience out there, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you later. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Todd.